Well, a pleasure to meet y'all at last. And, I mean, I'm actually not having a good time here. It's been getting tougher and tougher as I've gone because, well, first off, I have actually been reading a few articles here and there based on the fact that it seems that the golden age of YouTube itself is now officially declared to be over. And I've seen so many things happen throughout the last year. It is definitely clear that YouTube is going to be going into some sort of dark age, but you know what? I want to see how well I can hang in there. Because after all, there's just so much that I want to do with my own channel. It would basically be almost impossible for me to want to quit now. Being that it's been a year and a half now since I managed to pick up the pieces and resurge my entire channel itself. A year after graduating high school in June 2018, never would I have thought that I've gotten a lot accomplished. Less than 1,000 videos on my channel, but at the same time, lots of changes came by in 5.5 years of just straight up nothing. But you know what? Even just 1 week after I graduated high school in June 2018, coming back to YouTube for the first time in a long time, I simply put feel more than just excited about everything that I've already accomplished. So many things have gone down, and I've got so much content on my channel that I feel like anyone out there who would be willing to look at it today, compared to how they would have looked at something from like 10 years ago at most, they would have seen a lot of potential back then. But nowadays, with all the channels, changes that we've been seeing, the algorithm in placement, not to mention the adpocalypse events, and of course the Logan Paul Suicide Forest incident, which did lead to community guideline based changes, a lot of them. I mean, hardly any of us are going to let any of that stuff go because as of today, I can quite honestly confirm that here on December 5th, 2019, and probably onwards after today, we're probably going to be in for a lot of, well, negativity towards the platform itself. But you know what? I will definitely hold through. And I will pull myself through this entire thing until another uprising takes place. Even if I don't make it through, others will rise up to claim spots of becoming highly successful creators out there on this platform. But I know, as long as I keep the hard work, as long as I keep the through dedication, and as long as I establish a lot of conduit based on how all this content here has actually gotten itself plenty of good reception and good influence on the channel in modern day history. Many, many, many comments and views have been racking up. Subscribers have also started to come in really well because of all this content that I've been uploading over the last year and a half. And who could ever forget the fact that, well, the variety of content, which does make it seem a bit generic, but the fact that I have such content including Nerf, Hot Wheels, gaming, challenge videos, vlogs, and who could forget occasional streams that I would pretty much present here sometimes. Just not all the time, but nonetheless, it's still a great way to go. Though I can honestly say, at this point in time, it will take so long before I would even be able to enable monetization after getting approved for the partnership program. So that is why I actually will start a Patreon. If you're not familiar with a Patreon, then wow, I've seen some YouTubers out there, like Tell It Animated, create a Patreon as a way to, gain a secondary way of income every month. They would be able to support their own channel and possibly pay for certain things like supplies or software or other pieces of equipment that they would generally use for their channels. Now, Patreon would actually serve as a really handy function, a way for me to gain income alongside the production of any of my content whatsoever. So, periodically, that is why, on April 19th of 2020, I will start myself my own Patreon. And of course, I'll have it set up as a link to my Patreon in the channel's About section. So this way y'all can have easy access to it. But, of course, a few other things have come around that I should pretty much just start talking about right away. Twitter. Anyone who works for Twitter right now, just know that I'm mainly having a tough time here recording this vlog, and that I'm about to, start crying right now. I know you're probably not going to want to see any of this because it may not seem normal to you, but you just have to learn that suspending people's accounts is not right. It's really not. The way you single-handedly just struck back with full force, I mean, I don't know if you've seen it recently, but Twitter just did it again. They straight up began a new assault on both my Twitter accounts at KaijuForceNeo and KFN 2.0, and they struck with full force. They didn't even try to do it. They straight up just took me out in one hit on both of my accounts. So, I mean, you might be able to see it right away, but I've already done some work on getting my accounts appealed, so this way they can be unsuspended. But let it be known that both my Twitter accounts, they mean a lot to me. Same would go with my Storyfire or my WhatsApp, in case people ever wanted to go into close contact with me whatsoever. I'm mainly available on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, Storyfire. But the fact that both of my Twitter accounts at KFN 2.0 and at KaijuForceNeo, which I don't even use anymore because of the fact that I made a stream that showed that I would no longer be using that account anymore, and yet it still gets suspended because of the events that happened back then. But not even 4 years have passed since the first time Twitter actually did something that awful. They randomly suspend my account because of two hackers who were wanting to start harassing and attack other people out there on the platform. And yet I managed to get them banned because of proof that I was able to collect. But the thing is that ever since that happened back in February 2016, it's just been a legal war going on. Me up against Twitter. At least a dozen times they have managed to lock, suspend, limit my account because of various things I'm doing wrong. But, yeah. I guess you could probably feel the same way I do, because I was just about to shed some tears here and there because of the fact that after so long of just simply going battle with Twitter, like going fist to fist in a way, except it's more of like a screen to screen sort of conflict that we've been doing for not even 4 years. And the fact that they've been locking, limiting, sometimes suspending both of my accounts, even though at KFN 2.0 was hardly ever being targeted by Twitter themselves, they were more likely just going after my first account at KaijuForceNeo, it's still a big issue. For an account of mine that is 13 going on 14 years old, and for another account of mine that's, well, just over a year old now, I have, nothing else left to say. But I just simply want to give the word out to everybody out there that they should have some caution on them. Twitter is as treacherous as ever. Probably even more treacherous than ever before. The fact that, well, I've already established that Twitter had done so many things wrong to my first account, but now they're simply striking back full force after about a year of dormancy towards both of my accounts. That is so wrong, like beyond wrong now. And let me just say that I also sent in at least one appeal letter towards Twitter themselves. They eventually responded back to me, which is at least one good sign that I have to give credit for, that they still do care about the people who use this platform in their everyday lifestyle. Their response to me was basically that they will not restore my Twitter account because I violated the terms and services. Well, what terms and services are you talking about? There was, in fact, a notification that I had constantly been getting every time I actually log on to Twitter that new terms and services will come around on January 1st, 2020. And the fact is, I've read about them and that, well, I guess if this sudden attack with 2 suspensions towards 2 of my own accounts is simply taking place as a way to represent the new terms and services, I can't really explain much other than the fact that it's just a bad joke. If they are in fact doing this for some sort of prank or some sort of bad experiment, then why don't I tell you, don't invite me to stuff that I don't want to come to. And more importantly, do not mess with my accounts. It's not like I've done anything at all it's really not like I've done anything at all, regardless of what your terms and services explains to us about. I've got no business with your BS. And the most important thing of all is that I'm explaining to you the truth about the nature of my accounts, being that both of them have done nothing wrong and that you need to get your shipwreck together. And I'm pretty sure you probably know what I mean by shipwreck. I will not even say that kind of language at all in anything at all that I upload to the internet. And if me not using language of any sort, foul language that is a sign that should ring a bell to you guys who work on Twitter at the moment, then I'm just going to remind you right now. My first account at Kaiju Force Neo, in the 13 going on 14 years that it's been around for now, has been under fire at least a dozen times in the time that it's been around for. And considering the fact that now new terms and services are coming around, I might agree with some things, but here's something that I disagree with right now. You always treat my account like it's a disaster waiting to happen. You always have to push me to the edge, just hoping in vain that someday I come to my senses, but it should be you who does that. I'm like so mad right now, I could just sue these peeps in court for, I guess, $400,000, because for one, they waste my time constantly with all of these things. And the second thing here is that every time they do something like that, I get sincerely ticked off. Because I've done nothing. 2 thumbs down to all of you who operate Twitter right now. I demand that you restore my accounts. Both of them. Back to where they were. So this way I can continue happily using my time correctly. I'm not using my accounts to promote self-harm or harassment or disrespect towards anyone in general. I'm not using my accounts to express spam or anything of the sort whatsoever. And the biggest thing of them all is that new terms and services shouldn't give you the excuse to start attacking people's accounts. Random people's accounts. My accounts are just a big target. But I suggest that you take your crosshairs off of my head and move on to actual people out there who are in fact committing violations. So that's just all that I'm going to have to say to you right now. Anything else that you want to say to me, just simply talk to me in my Gmail account, jboak599@gmail.com. And I'll let you know exactly what your deal is. I will remind you, though, I am just not happy at all with how you've been treating both my accounts. But this has been a bad week for me. All because now you've crossed at least 2 moral lines for nothing that I've done. I've done nothing at all. That's all I have to say. I've got nothing else. So just stop hurting people's accounts. And stop going to our heads knowing that we will break and we will have to simply follow rules that have nothing to do with whatever we've done towards our own community. That's all. I legit just don't have much else to say here. But if you want to see more, go down to my channel. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.